this moment, I want to bring my friend Bill Allen in, my business partner. And he's got some messages for you guys. And that was fun. I hope everybody's following along on this challenge. And let's see what Bill's got to say. And it is the Mohawk. He does have a Mohawk.
That's it. Can you hear me, Chad?
Yeah, you're good. Can hear you.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. So first of all, congratulations to Chad finishing that challenge. And I thought you did like absolutely amazing job. We're not finished, by the way, but you did an amazing job kind of boiling that down over these past kind of 4.5 days and how to do it. So one question that I want to ask you before I get going is Jeff or somebody who asked that? Mike Corca asked, what was the asking price on the property? So some of the people might have thought that there was an asking price. Can you just cover that really quick?
Yeah, he had said there was no asking price on it. From what I understood, he just said it was at a 7 cap based on his numbers that he had. So
what do you think that he would be expecting you to send?
Well, based on his numbers, he was asking 7.2 million.
So what are you expecting? Like you said, you're probably going to get a response that is packed sand, like you said. But what's kind of like the next step? We'll get to that maybe, because I'm wondering kind of like, I'm sure everybody is like, okay, I hit send, like what's next? So let's talk about that in a little bit maybe. So what I want to cover today, and I think you want me to cover something about money. Even somebody asked just recently about money. Gagan, hopefully I'm saying your name right, said, will there be a session for raising private capital? Thanks much. So let me quickly just kind of introduce myself, and then we'll talk a little bit about raising capital, because the limiting beliefs, like we've already crushed a lot of those things that are holding you back, right? There's things that are holding you back. This 5-day challenge was designed for that. We have about 330 people that signed up for this that are in this Facebook group right now. And we have 45 people on the call. We've had 60 to 70 people on the live calls. We have people watching after work. Things like that. But only some of you, so the way that it works is some of you are going to sign up for the challenge, some of you are going to show up live, and then some of you are actually going to do it. And some of you are just going to sit back and say, I can't do this because of this, that, and the other. So hopefully these 5 days, Chad showed you a lot of things that you don't need to have all the answers. You just need to take the next step. It's funny enough, I was watching Frozen 2 a couple days ago with my son, James. He's in the hospital right now after heart surgery. And we were watching Frozen 2, and there's a song on there that's like do the next right thing, like take a step and then another step and another step. And the whole time I'm thinking about this challenge, funny enough, because you guys are just taking a step and then trying to figure out the next right thing to do, because you don't need to have all the answers. And so Chad crushed $3.8 million. A limiting belief for a lot of you guys is like, I can't do a $3.8 million deal. How do I get the funding for that? We crushed it with the bank, right? The check is in the bank is a relationship that Chad brought on, but like, where do we find the rest of the cash? And do I need to have it all before I submit this LOI? First of all, your answer is no, you don't need to have it all. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in the next, I don't know, I got probably like 10 minutes to cover that quickly with you guys. Real quick, a lot of you have no idea who I am because maybe you came off a Facebook ad, or you just found this, or it was an email that you got or something like that and you signed up. So like Chad said, I'm one of his partners in the multifamily business. Chad and I have worked together on the single family side. He was buying and selling houses for me for a long time together. I was one of those people that he had no idea didn't know anybody in Nashville when he moved here. And I was one of the meetings that he took, and he showed up and presented himself really well. And it was absolutely amazing of what he came in and was capable of doing. So he really led with like action and not with words and all talk. And I really appreciate that. And all of you guys are doing that same thing. You're showing up here, you're being present, you're working on this challenge, and you're taking action, not just talking about it like a lot of people do. So I run a single family company. We just buy and sell houses. I was in the military, have a military background, flew helicopters and airplanes for the Navy for a long time. May 1st was my 19th year, so I just started my 19th year. I'm a reservist now, did almost 15 years of active duty. I have 3 little kids, a 6-year-old, almost 7, 4-year-old and a 3-year-old. And the past couple of years, my son and I have cut mohawks on the last day of school. So last Friday was his last day of school. I give him a week of me doing it, and then I cut it off. So you guys today is the last day. So I was either going to cut it off this morning or show up. But the reason I showed up and like spiked up the mohawk, because I thought it was cool. Like I get to run like a multi-million-dollar company, and I can have a mohawk and nobody cares or says anything. I can basically just do what I want. And I think that's what a lot of us want to do in our lives, right? It's just kind of do what, kind of what we want when we want and not be told what to do. So that was the hard thing that I had with the military, was like, if I need to take a vacation, I had to ask for permission. That was the thing that drove me nuts. And there were a couple of vacations or trips that I really wanted to take that got canceled because of deployments or workups or things like that, or just my boss saying no. So kind of got tired of that, and now running my own company, making my own decisions. So that's why I'm wearing the mohawk, not because it's typically how I look, but last year at this time we had an event and I had one as well. So that's kind of my backstory. The single family side, I've probably done like 700 houses, not all myself, but with help of a team, like hiring a team, building out a team, and the relationships that Chad talked about are so important with that. And then I've raised a lot of money. I think my ability to close deals and do deals is about building those relationships and having other people know, like, and trust me to be able to trust me with their hard-earned money, their retirement accounts, their savings, those kind of things, and invest and truly believe in what I'm doing and what the team that I've built around me is helping me do. So that's kind of where I want to transition to. I probably raised, I don't know, 20 million bucks by now for different deals. And I think like the really cool thing is after you build out that trust with people, you get incoming emails and requests for like your next deal. Like right now, we have such a demand for properties and deals that people are emailing us saying, when are you going to bring your next opportunity to us? And I know that we could probably, with this $3.8 million deal, we could fund in about 5 seconds with just one email to our list of lenders. Now that doesn't happen from the start. You do have to build on that. So if I can give you like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of advice about raising money, it's simply to look at your network, and let's just assume that you don't have the credibility right now. You've never done a deal. I'm just assuming that I'm talking to people who haven't done a transaction. You're sitting here going like, there's no possible way that I could raise money for this deal. You got a couple options. One of them is you'd be surprised at the number of people that already know, like, and trust you that actually have money, that would be interested in investing in you and not necessarily what you're doing. It's a little bit more challenging in a big, large apartment building than it is in a single family building. You're gonna need a sponsor anyway. If you don't have the net worth to get a bank loan on this, somebody's gonna have to sign for that debt. You remember Heath yesterday talking about signing for the debt? You're gonna need somebody to do that. So that's where your team comes in. It's really important to partner up with somebody who already knows what they're doing, especially on the first one or two. So they can help you raise the capital or give you the credibility that you need in the real estate space to bring the people that already know, like, and trust you into a deal like that. You'll be really surprised at the number of people that actually have money out there that you know that you're friends with. They just don't talk about it or drive fancy cars. And so that was the big aha for me, was when I realized that there's a lot of people, and most of my lenders, guys, are like friends of mine, family members of mine, people in my community, people that I've talked to and built a relationship with, and people I've networked with, and all different types of people. There's all different types of groups of people that work with me and partner with me on these deals. And it could be folks from, a lot of them are people that I flew with in the military, and we don't make a lot of money. We make anywhere, I mean, I came in making $45,000 or $50,000 a year, and I left making like maybe 110 a year or something. I mean, we're not making, I mean, that's good money, but it's not something where you have like socked away $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in your retirement account. But somehow those folks are saving a lot of money and investing money. And so you'll be surprised. I see like, you think it's all like doctors and lawyers and stuff like that, but a lot of times I see firemen, police officers, school teachers, people like that actually have a lot of savings because they don't really spend a lot of money. They really do save a ton of money and are just don't know that they can lend into real estate, multifamily, single family real estate. The benefits that they have are what you want to talk to in multifamily. It's a longer game, so they might be in it for 5, 7, 10, maybe 30 years, but they're making cash flow and they're getting great depreciation that doesn't normally come when you're lending at an interest rate on your single family. If you guys are single family house flippers and wholesalers and you've been raising money at like 6, 8%, 10% on fixed rate interest mortgages, and you're good at that, it is so easy to raise money in the multifamily side when you're doing a partnership and giving equity to your investors as a limited partner, because they're getting depreciation that they wouldn't have gotten before. They're getting cash flow, which they may have gotten before, they probably did, but they're allowed to participate in the upside on the property as opposed to more of a fixed type rate. And they're also getting that fixed rate. Usually we have a preferred return. There's lots of places we can go here, but my job today is to like crush the limiting belief of where to get the rest of the cash. Like if your deal is really good, you follow Chad's steps. Chad gets that property at 3.8 million and the guy's expecting to get 7, and he negotiates that and the deal's really good, then you can go out to your network. You can bring in other people who can help you raise money for the deal. If the deal's really good, everybody says if the deal is good enough, then it will get funded, right? That you guys have all heard that. But really you have to get that deal in front of the people who will fund it, right? And so that's where you need to think about is who in your network, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of homework today because Chad probably has some homework for you. It's to put in your LOI, but I'm gonna give you some homework on the raising money side. Because once that broker says, okay, yep, we get to a point, let's go, there's still work to do after that. And we don't even get to the money raising side until more work's done. So the next step is not raising the money after this. It's not just to go out and say, okay, I got this deal, where's the money? There's more work, and then the money raising starts. So you've got time once this LOI starts getting into negotiation to start figuring out the money raising. But I will say, building that and starting that like little snowball to roll down the hill to get big, where you get to the point where people are emailing you saying, I have money, it's idle right now, I want to give it to you, like we do, then that's going to take a little bit of time, and you really want to start that like yesterday. And if you can't start yesterday, today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. But inside of that rest of the cash, this limiting belief of we can't get it. You've got to understand if you don't believe in yourself, nobody's going to believe in you. So believe in yourself, know that you can do it, and just get some confidence. You need to start having conversations. You need to start reaching out to people and tell people what you're doing. Like, I am a real estate investor. I'm buying apartment buildings. I just made an offer yesterday on a $4.5 million deal. If I got something like that, would you be interested in participating? Is that something that interests you? Just have conversations, build relationships, just like Chad said a couple days ago. That's the most important thing. So the homework that I have for you guys, Chad, did I cover like some of the stuff that you wanted me to talk about? I haven't been watching the comments or questions or things like that. Like, yeah. What is the biggest limiting belief that maybe you had or other people have about raising money inside of this space where maybe you have to raise like $1 million or something? Just, I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not that I can't do it. It's who's got it. Like, where do I get it? And believe it or not, that it's out. A lot of people have it, and you have to just go out and talk to people. And I think Bill hit the nail on the head. Like, if you have a good deal and you reach out, like, and the deal is good, I've got to be honest, the money will come. Like, and the people who you may not even know have the money that are interested in real estate, you may not even know it because you haven't brought it up yet, and you haven't even talked to them yet. And Peely's in the chat. I've seen her, but she's famous for just knowing and pulling money right out of her network that's in her back pocket that is already knows, likes, and trusts her. And the other thing too, when it comes to raising money, is just make sure you have that deal and the game plan put together. When you go and meet with your property manager and you guys come up with that game plan, that is your credibility packet. Like, maybe you don't have the track record to say, hey, I got 1,000 units, but you have this game plan for this property that makes so much sense fiscally. It is a no-brainer and it's a win-win deal. And you can go and talk to money guys with that. And the other thing too is, Bill talked about building his team, and maybe you have a money guy, maybe you have a money person on your team. This idea of a team, that doesn't mean these people need to be on your payroll. These people can be partners. They can be relationships with people that are doing other things. They are property managers, they're lenders, they're guarantors. So your team can be more, it's not just people on your payroll. I don't want you guys to think a team means you have to go out and hire people. You just have to go out and build relationships, and then you guys do it together as a team. So it all comes down to just talking about what you're doing, and then be an ethical person, making good decisions, and building relationships.
Yeah. I got one question in there that says, do you have a script for talking to investors? I'm going to answer that one because the answer is no. And I don't expect you to have one either. Like, the last thing that you want to do is follow a script. When I talk to investors or anybody who's interested in just hearing more about what I'm doing, it's just a simple conversation. I just ask them, a lot of times, some of the things you might talk to are, what are some of your goals? What do you want to get from this? Where's your money now? Like, what do you want to do? You know, I have these conversations on a regular basis because you know why I have them? Because I tell people what I do. So let me turn it around. Do you tell people what you do? Do you tell people that you made an offer on an apartment? Do you tell people that you're doing this 5-day challenge right now? And in 5 days, you put out an LOI on an apartment building? Do you know how much your Facebook account or your phone will light up if you put that out there right now? Like, wait, you didn't know a lot about apartment investing and you made an offer on a $4 million building in 5 days? How did you do that? And you just start having conversations with them. And next thing you know, you are the person to go to when they want to get involved in that and they want to get interested in it. So everybody watches this stuff. Everybody watches HGTV. Everybody watches these flipping shows and all this stuff. And they want to be a part of it. It's fun. It's cool. It's hip right now. Like if you can get in there and be the person to go to that has an opportunity, then people are going to be talking to you. And you don't have to know everything. My first property, I remember I didn't know what I was doing. And I had to go to people that were inside my like really, really warm network. They trusted me and they believed in me that I could do it. You know what I did? I leveraged all of my other, my track record, my background in the military, all the projects that I've managed, my integrity, my trustworthiness, all of those things. And I used their money, paid them back with a return, and they were amazed. And next thing you know, they started telling their friends. And their friends started telling their friends. And my dad's at a poker game talking about the returns he's getting inside of his IRA and his regular cash. And all of his friends are like, how did you do that? I didn't even know you could do that. And then phones ringing. People are reaching out. And I'm having other conversations and just getting more confidence. So my homework for you guys is to create, and back to the script. Like if you have a script, it just sounds like you're not genuine. It sounds like you're not interested. I basically just listen to them. I listen to them and I just try to hear if this opportunity would be the best fit for them. And if not, I tell them that. And maybe I'll direct them to somebody else or another opportunity, or I might have another opportunity for their money. And just kind of, you know, if I'm doing good for them, then they're going to feel it, they're going to know it. And I basically just find out, you know, where their money is now, how much do they have, what are they interested in doing before I ever talk about anything that I'm doing. It's just, I have that conversation. I want them to win. And if they feel like I'm their partner and not somebody like they're giving money to or loaning money to, it's much better. I don't want to feel like a loan shark.
I want to reiterate something Bill just said, because it was a subtle point that I think needs to be driven home. You guys, when it comes to the money, you're providing an opportunity. It's a vehicle. It is an amazing vehicle for wealth preservation, multiplication of capital, a hedge against inflation, depreciation, like upside appreciation. Like it is a phenomenal vehicle. It's the one that I believe in the absolute most is this asset class. So when you're presenting and talking to a money person, you're not asking anybody for money. Like this is not you going and asking someone for money. This is you going and asking them, first of all, like Bill said, what do they do? What are they currently doing? What are their goals? And then saying, well, I have this amazing opportunity, you know, and it's an opportunity, right? So think about it like that, and it'll make those calls a little less daunting, because you don't go into those calls thinking you're asking for money, because you're not, right? You're going into those calls like, I got a kick-ass opportunity in a badass asset class, and they're going to want to be a part of it if you're fired up about it, right?
Yeah, I see a comment from didn't even think about using my own Facebook page. Okay, if you're not using your social media page for going, now don't post a deal and say, I'm going to provide this amount of return. There's a couple like small things and ways to do it. So talk about like what you do. I'm interested in having a conversation if anybody's interested. I'm looking for apartments right now. If anybody's interested in partnering up, reach out to me, all of those things. But absolutely use that. Like you got to shift the way that you think about that. Your Facebook page and social media page, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're gonna talk about it in Multifamily Live, about how you use it, building a brand and things like that. But it's 100%. You should be a creator, not a consumer. Okay? So you should be creating things on social media that go out there that other people can look at, watch, and take action on. And number one thing that I use that for is raising money. And I've raised a lot of money from connections from friends and family that have been distant for a while that are coming back because they're watching in the background on social media about what we're doing. So the homework that I'm going to give you is create some buckets. Create some buckets of people in your life and actually create a list. So, and the way that I do this is I have a sheet of paper and I write down like my high school friends and a list of the people that I was connected with in high school, my college friends. I played soccer in college. I was in ROTC in college. I was in a fraternity in college. So those are all individual columns that I do, and I just write down people. And then when I left college, I went into the Navy. So when I was at this squadron, write down some people, this squadron, all of my close connections. And I just make a long list of different buckets. And then what I'll do is I'll reach out to some of those people, especially when I have an opportunity, or if I just want to have a conversation, I'm going kind of shaking the trees a little bit. I'll reach out to one of them and talk to them and say, you know, just have a conversation with them, catch up with them, whether it's Facebook message, an email, a text message, whatever, haven't talked in a while, not bombarding with them. I got this amazing opportunity. You've got to be a part of it. I mean, that sounds like an MLM or some pyramid scheme, right? So I just reach out to them and catch up and reconnect. And usually what they say is, man, I've been watching you on social media doing some pretty cool stuff. Tell me about it. But I ask about them first. We have a conversation. And then I say, hey, oh yeah, we're doing this. And they'll be like, man, it looks like you're doing really well. Like, how are you doing that? I tell them, I say, hey, you know, there's a lot of people that invest with us. If you're ever interested in talking about that, let me know. And I don't have that conversation usually on the first call unless they're like, I'm interested in that right now. Like, I need a place to move my money. I hate what's happening with my stock portfolio or my IRA or whatever. So just make a connection. And I go down that list. And then usually I'm like, hey, if they're interested, do you know anybody else who might be interested in something like this? Or what I usually say is, do you know somebody who might be interested in investing in something like that? And that's me saying, are you interested in investing in something like that? So I either get them to say yes, or I get them to say, yeah, I do know somebody. So those are a couple of my things that I'll say is if you can actually create those buckets, next thing you know, you can add on, because I might be talking to somebody in my fraternity who's like, hey, you know what? You remember our buddy so-and-so? Man, he's got a ton of money in his IRA and 401k too. He'd definitely be interested in this, I think. And then I'll call them. And then I'll usually say, hey man, Brandon told me to call you. I know we haven't talked in a while, but he said you were looking for a place to place some money. I know we haven't talked in a while, but do you want to talk about that? Or send him a message. And just go down that and start asking for referrals and recommendations from people too. So if you build this out and really do it, it's basically like you got to treat money raising just like you treat driving leads, driving traffic, all that stuff for your company. We basically just give lenders whatever they want. We work so hard for these leads and these deals that we could do a lot better. And you're, like Chad said, you're providing an opportunity helping people. So I know I went long. This is not a 10-minute conversation. We're definitely going to talk about Multifamily Live. I talk about it all the time. We have other things that we do around raising money. But right now, your goal is to submit this LOI and do that little bit of homework to start building that. I look at it like a little snowball. Like my snowball is getting bigger, and I just want to keep rolling it down the hill and get bigger and bigger. And that's all the people that are interested in our deals, because now they know, like, and trust. Now we have a track record. We can use that. It's a little bit easier raising money. But it wasn't easy like 6 years ago for me when I was making that first phone call 6, 7 years ago. Actually, it was like 8 or 9 years ago now, that first phone call of my first deal. And I was like, oh gosh, I did feel like I was asking for money. And I just had to change the way that I think about it. Like, they want that opportunity. They need that opportunity. They need me. It's an ecosystem. The lender needs a deal. And there's so much more money out there than there is deals right now. So if you have a deal, you've got the gold. You got the gold. So